In a world where guitars whispered secrets and sitars sang like birds at dawn, George Harrison stood not just as a Beatle, but as a seeker, a quiet magician weaving sound into soul. Among the many artists he crossed paths with, 5 stood out like stars in his private sky. These were not just musicians, they were kindred spirits. In Bob Dylan, George found a fellow poet adrift in the same fog of fame. It was the late 60s, a time of revolution, revelation, and ridiculously good hair. Dylan's cryptic lyrics felt like riddles whispered by an old forest god. They jammed in quiet corners of Woodstock, planting the seeds of the traveling Wilburys years later. For George, Dylan didn't just write songs, he built temples out of truth. Ravi Shankar was George's musical guru, a north star in a sonic galaxy. When pop stardom lost its sparkle, Ravi opened a door to ancient wisdom. George didn't just pick up the sitar, he fell into its universe. Their concerts became spiritual rituals, where the crowd didn't just listen, they transcended. To George, Ravi was more than a mentor. He was a bridge between the earthly and the eternal. With Eric Clapton, the bond was tangled and electric, a friendship forged in fretboards, fire, and a few broken hearts. Clapton's bluesy brilliance made George both admire and compete, perhaps the only guitarist he truly envied. Their music bled with emotion, especially when words fell short, and even as life twisted in complex chords, their guitars kept talking. Each solo was a letter from one soul to another. When the Beatles teetered on the edge, Billy Preston was the spark that reignited joy. Pulled from a Ray Charles concert into the stormy Apple studios, Billy brought more than talent, he brought light. George saw in him something rare, unfiltered soul, the kind that lifts a room. Later, on All Things Must Pass, Billy's organ flowed like golden syrup through every melody. To George, Billy wasn't just a collaborator. He was a reminder that music, at its best, was play. Tom Petty was the little brother George never had, all denim charm and honest chords. In the flashy 80s, their music stripped things back, simple, true, timeless. With Petty, songwriting became joyful again, like sketching songs in the sand. In the traveling Wilburys, they joked, jammed, and shared quiet wisdom. George said Tom reminded him why he loved music in the first place, because it made the world a little less lonely. Jeff Lynne was the sonic wizard behind the curtain, meticulous, melodic, and miraculously in sync with George's vision. Their bond grew deep in the 1980s, as Lynn helped George shape the lush, shimmering soundscapes of Cloud 9 and beyond. Jeff didn't just produce, he translated George's thoughts into sonic gold. Together in the traveling Wilburys, they built a brotherhood where laughter echoed louder than ego. With Jeff, George found not just a collaborator, but a craftsman who polished his soul's music into light. These weren't just collaborators, they were co-pilots in George's magical journey through sound. And in every note, you can still hear the whisper of peace,